This is a final review before your quiz on Friday that covers area, perimeter, and circumference. That's lessons 42, 43, and 44. I've checked your work and I posted comments to you about your work. I hope you're reading those comments and doing what I've asked you to do. So today we want to talk about how each of these problems should be worked and what the final answer should look like. So the first two questions ask you to find the area and circumference of the circles. The first circle, I'm giving you the diameter of 20, and you need to make a note that your radius would be half of that, 10. Your formula for area is pi r squared. So y'all, I'm showing my work, and y'all are not doing that. If you do not show work, you're not going to get full credit. R is 10. 10 squared is 100. In simplified pi answer, it should be 100 pi feet squared. So that's my pi answer. Then I will multiply in my calculator. I will multiply that by the pi button. And that will give me 314.2 feet squared. For circumference, I'm using pi times diameter, which was 20. You'll write that as 20 pi feet. When I multiply that by the pi button, now I'm not talking about multiplying it by 3.14, but by the pi button on your calculator, that comes out to be 62.8, because your instructions say write it in simplified pi form and rounded to the nearest tenth. Use your calculator's value of pi, show your work, indicate the formula used, remember units on your answers. Y'all, area is feet squared, circumference is just feet. When you look at the second problem, I've given you the radius, so I'm thinking the radius is 12 inches, my diameter is going to be 24 inches. Here's my work. I'm going to take that radius 12 and I'm going to square it, because that's what the formula for area says, to square your radius. That's 144 pi inches squared. Multiply 144 by pi and you get 452.2 inches squared. Circumference is pi times diameter, so that would be 24 pi inches. That's approximately 75.4 inches. Area is inches squared, circumference is just inches. In the next section, it said identify each figure, indicate the formula being used, and calculate its area and perimeter. Remember to show your work and to place units on your answers. I was very specific about this. This shape is a parallelogram. This value did not print on your paper, but this side should have been 11 kilometers. This is a parallelogram. The formula for area is base times height. In our picture, the base is 6. The height is this altitude where the perpendicular beats the base. So base times height was 6 times 4.7, which is 28.2 kilometers squared. For perimeter, you couldn't have done that because you did not see the 11 that got left off the picture, and that's my fault. But this is 11, so you're adding up your four sides. There are two sides that measure 11. There are two sides that measure 6. So 22 plus 12 would have been 34 kilometers. For the perimeter of a parallelogram, you're just adding the sides. In number 3, it's important that you realize you have a right triangle, because in a right triangle, the base and the height are the legs of the triangle. If you notice, I have that marked here. Where do the two sides make the right angle? Right here. One of them you can designate as the base. The other has to be the height. Now here's the problem. A lot of you were not putting that half in your formula. You were just doing base times height, but it's 1/2 or 0.5 times base times height. So 0.5 times our base times our height gave us 13.5 yards squared. For the perimeter, you're just going to add your sides up. The sides were 4.5, 6, 7.5, which comes out to be 18 yards. There's no square units, there's just yards. Number 4 was a rectangle because I have 4 right angles, so this is a rectangle. The formula for area is base times height. Our base is 2. Our height is 3.1. We will multiply those and get yard squared. Yard times yard is yard square. For the perimeter, it's 2 bases plus 2 heights. 2 times the base, 2 times the height. That'll be 10.2 yards. When I move to the next page, this figure is a square. A lot of y'all left that blank. I don't know if you didn't read the instructions or what was going on. The formula for a square is side squared. So that means 5.1 miles is going to be squared. That's going to give you 26.0 because I said round to the nearest tenth. Those are miles squared. Perimeter of a square is just 4 times the side. 4 times 5.1 miles is 20.4 miles. Y'all, I'm showing my work and I expect to see your work. Most of you did not show your work on the worksheet, and if you do not do that on your quiz, you will not get full credit for that problem. This is a triangle where the base is 4 and 3, which means together the base is 7. These numbers on the side do not have anything to do with determining area. It is this height of 4. So our base is 7, our height is 4, but you got to remember to take a half or multiply that by 0.5. So when I do that, I get 14 meters squared. In the perimeter, I'm just going to add the sides. And I don't know, some of us were not getting the correct value here. The sides are 5.7, 5, and then this side is 7. And that adds up to be 17.7 meters. In number 7, 8, 9, and 10, it just says identify the figure and then state the area formula. And it says find the area of each figure, show your work. So let's pay close attention to these because those are the shapes that are rather new to you. This is a trapezoid because I've only got one pair of bases that are parallel to each other. The area formula is 1/2 the height, parentheses, base 1 plus base 2. One of my bases was 6. The other base was 3. And my height was 5 miles. So you're typing in 0.5, parentheses, 5, parentheses, 6 plus 3. Some of y'all were putting some multiplication sign there, but that's plus. And that came out to be 22.5 miles squared. Some of you had 225. I don't know if you just misplaced your decimal or what was going on. Some of y'all thought this was a pyramid. Some of you thought this was a rectangle. I guess I could kind of see your perspective, but we haven't studied pyramids. This is a kite, a kind of a squatty kite, but it has a long diagonal here of 6. This diagonal was cut into 2 pieces of 4 and 4. So one diagonal is 6. One diagonal is, I don't know why it turned here on me. And one diagonal is 8. I'll get back in just a minute.